Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. We are the fastest rising pro wrestling podcast in the world. My name is stevezapf. Along with me is my hetero life mate, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright, coming to you straight from the Showtime Chateau in beautiful New Jersey. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream.
Well, today we are going to review AEW's Dynasty pay-per-view, see if they built a dynasty off of it. Some news breaking out of TNA after Rebellion, and WWE finally made some releases this week. So we'll review all of that. But first and foremost, big shout out to Coal Mines, a friend of the show, another podcast. They constantly give us some shout outs, so we will always do the same to friends of the show. And of course, as mentioned in previous episodes, I am doing a fundraiser for Tap Cancer Out. The links for both of these will be in the bio, but Tap Cancer Out is a jiu-jitsu tournament that helps with varying cancer funds. One is Alex's Lemonade Stand, the American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descents, and Tom Coughlin's J Fund. So a lot of really good things being helped out with this. Obviously, the links will be in our bio or in our description as always. But please, please, please help this out. These are great organizations to be involved with. With that said, Showtime, let's get to some wrestling.
You won't do it.
We have to. I kind of almost wish we didn't have to, but we have to. So first things first, TNA. Broken Matt Hardy re-debuted at TNA this week. He showed up at the end of the Nick Nemeth Moose match after Moose had beaten Nick Nemeth, which we were a little disappointed by that one. I was really hoping that they were going to be doing a little bit more with Nick Nemeth and that they were going to put it on his shoulders already, but who knows? Maybe they're doing more with him in New Japan, and that's why we don't know all the details on this, obviously, but Nemeth is a busy man. Broken Matt made his intentions known by twist-of-fating Moose and holding up the TNA World Heavyweight title. So it looks like they're going to throw him right into that world title mix already. What are you thinking about this whole thing, Showtime?
Yeah, so first with Nick, I think the deal is that he's probably just too busy to be their champion right now. He's not solely TNA talent. I think that with him being in New Japan, all the independent stuff that he's doing, I think it would make sense. That would be the reason why you wouldn't put the belt on him. He's clearly the biggest star in that organization. So I would, if I was booking that, I would make him the champion. But I also don't want someone who's only going to be here for pay-per-views. I want someone who I'm going to be able to rely on a weekly basis to be the face of my company. And if you can't be that, then you can't be the champion, particularly for someone like TNA, where WWE has so many stars. AEW has enough stars that if you don't have your world champion around all that often, it's not a big deal. But if I know that Nick Nemeth's not going to be on TNA, I might not tune in for that reason alone. So that's the one thing that makes sense to me in that situation, but a little bit of a bummer. I wanted to see him win that. We've been talking about him collecting all these belts, and I would pop for that. Matt Hardy coming back, it's cool. He's not actually an exclusive to TNA, so you might see him other places as well. But he did make his intentions known. We're going to see probably Matt Hardy versus Moose moving forward somewhere in the near future. We'll see how often you see Matt Hardy on TNA, kind of how many shows he books, how involved he is. There's speculation that he's going to be going with Uncle Howdy in the WWE. So we'll see kind of how this all kind of percolates and what we'll get out of it. It's good for a cool run. I like Broken Matt Hardy. It's a cool gimmick. Well, he's got so much hair. So we'll see kind of how it goes.
They're also saying that Jeff's contract is probably closer to being over than most of us realize. So that
June,
could
it
that
sounds
could be a
like.
big lead to this, as well as them getting to do stuff. I could honestly see this being, let's face it, the Hardy Boys are probably closer to the end than they are at the beginning at this point. This could be a very big step towards them getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame,
You
which I
love
could.
using that term of the close to the end. This one's not debatable. Yeah, these guys are towards the end of their career. And I think they're looking for one last swing. I think that they'll end up eventually in WWE and they will induct them to the Hall of Fame, as I think you were alluding to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, but I could totally see it happening even as soon as next year.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, let's face it, they're not young guys. They've been beat up. They're not doing the same quality of high risk matches that they were. They're getting hurt. I don't think they mesh as well with the current talent situation as they used to. Speaking of talent that doesn't apparently mesh well, WWE had a string of releases this week. It was bound to happen. The new regime for WWE hadn't really released too many people as of late. So following WrestleMania, we had seven releases. The most prominent of them being Jinder Mahal, who is of course a former WWE champion. He's a former US champion. I think if Jinder wanted to go somewhere else, he wanted to go to TNA, he wanted to go to AEW, he definitely has the opportunity to do that and be successful. The other thing is, going to AEW might not mesh well with who he is and how he conducts business. TNA, I think, might be a better option for him, especially with their limited running and booking schedule. I think that might be a better option. Zion Quinn, he's actually a former rugby player. I could definitely see him going to AEW because his girlfriend is in AEW right now. She's Harley Cameron, who also does some of the singing for a couple of the females' entrances music. Xia Li's only been trained by the WWE. She was part of their original set of Chinese tryouts back in 2017. I kind of don't see her going anywhere else. I don't know if maybe, I don't know. We didn't see much from her, and I could see this whole situation just being like, okay, this was something I tried to do and got me a little bit more famous. But who knows? Maybe she got bit by the bug while she was there. Sangha and Veer Mahan, who were both with Jinder Mahal in Indishir. Sangha has been wrestling for a while. He was actually part of TNA's Ring Ka King, which was their Indian promotion where Nick Aldis originally won a heavyweight title with. And then Veer Mahan actually has a little bit of fame to him. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's actually who the movie The $1 Million Arm is based off of. So who knows? He might have something else going on. He's one of those guys that, again, he could do more than just what they're doing with him. Von Wagner is one of those guys that, unfortunately, I consistently thought they didn't use him properly. He's a big dude, and it always just seemed like they used him as a big lumbering slow guy, and I thought he could have done more. He's a second generation wrestler. He played tight end for UCF. The Beverly Brothers are one of those well-kept secrets of 80s pro wrestling that I used to love to watch. They still have one of the best finishers as far as I'm concerned. And then the last one is Cameron Grimes. He was just released earlier today, I believe, as of this recording, which is April 23rd. Cameron Grimes is a former TNA X Division champion. He's a former TNA Tag Team champion. He won the NXT North American Championship, and he actually won the $1 million title while he was still in NXT while they were doing that gimmick. He wrestled a lot as Trevor Lee before this. Cameron Grimes was actually just on television. He just lost to Braun Breaker, and he is a massive talent if they give him the chance to be. I think part of the issue with Cameron Grimes, though, is he is a little bit on the smaller side, and there's no such thing as a cruiserweight division in WWE right now. So unfortunately, some of these smaller guys, they lose a little bit of their steam, and I think that might be a little bit of what it was with Cameron Grimes. They also toned him down quite a bit when he came to the main roster. I hope all these guys land on their feet, as I always do. I think this could be a possibility if they're willing to put the work in, that they can still have amazing, amazing careers. And obviously, WWE never closes the door on anybody fully unless there is a full reason to. And none of these guys sound like the door is fully closed to them. Showtime, anything to add to these guys? Or
Yeah, I think you see Jinder end up in AEW. I think it's pretty easy fit for him there. You kind of have him go and feud with Tony Khan. They had a little spat on Twitter, and who doesn't like capitalizing on that one? So like I could even see him bringing his crew, the people that he was kind of locked up with. You never know. Maybe have him be with some people who team up with Chris Jericho, since he's so over right now, or something along those lines. I'm not quite sure exactly. I could also say Shia Lee. Am I saying her name right? Xia Li. Usually that's a sh sound, but whatever. I can see her going to an AEW as well, because they're trying to bolster the women's division. I think that, we'll get into Raw. You could see that there is still a real need for talent in the women's divisions. Like, we watched the Battle Royal, and it was the people you'd expect to win, plus a bunch of tag teams that kind of tag often together, do some cool couple matches and stuff like that. But who was actual contenders for this? So if they can find like a diamond in the rough that kind of come in here and kind of rise to the top, really be a strong woman wrestler within the scene, it's worth taking a shot on seeing if you can find that person. So those are some of them. And then Cameron Grimes, I don't think he has anything to worry about. I think that he has enough support in the wrestling industry. He released that video today or yesterday. Was it today he got released, or yesterday he got
today,
released?
This
morning. So he has a ton of people reaching out to him. I think that you could see him do really well going back to TNA, to be honest with you. Like, that could be a nice call home with people more where he's not significantly smaller. I also think there's a chance that you could have him go over to AEW and fit right in. So we'll kind of see how that works.
He could go after the TNA world title. I really believe that he would be a nice fit for him to come in and take the whole thing off Moose. I think that would actually be a really good play. But again, I hope all these guys and girls land on their feet in some way, shape, or form and end up doing whatever it is that they want to do. I think all of them, I know I said like Namath does and like Cardona, they're willing to put the work in. That's kind of the thing is Cardona kind of laid the groundwork for this and gave you the game plan for it. And now Namath is following it. And now if these other people are willing to do it, they have the opportunity to make as much, if not more money, not working for the WWE. It's just a matter of if you're willing to put the work in. So we'll see what happens with these guys. Well, going from that, we will go on to one of these promotions that could possibly pick them up, and that's AEW. AEW had their Dynasty pay-per-view this past weekend. And I don't know if they built a dynasty off this pay-per-view. I'll tell you what. It was good. It was good. Oh, it was good. I'll go as far as good. It wasn't great, and I'm going to stand by that one. I thought the show overall had a couple good matches and a couple good angles that they could come off of, but overall, I thought it was good at best. Showtime, what are you thinking about the dynasty, about AEW Dynasty so far?
Dynasty, it was a good overall show. I'll tell you, they are just. Let's take some of Tony Khan's dad's money and put it towards the production team. This show really is dying for better video vignettes. Maybe a promo or two mixed in. You know me, Steven. I'm there for the wrestling. But let's break up all this wrestling with some good entertainment within it. Like, I'm not looking for you to flip the apple cart and do all promos and just a couple matches like WWE does. But I want a little bit of intrigue. I want a little breather from some of these matches. Some of them were really fast paced. Some of them completely sucked the air out of the room. So we'll go match by match and go through our predictions and stuff like that, like we normally do. But it's just a lot, and it's just gonna throw a match after match after match at you. And those vignettes do a really good job at cooling you down while you're watching. It really does a good job at telling the stories that you want to kind of understand and learn more about, and what gets you invested in the match before they put on a great story via wrestling moves and whatnot. So that's where mine ends. The wrestling was good. There was really good matches on this card. Some I thought were a little disappointing, but otherwise, most of them. I mean, there's one that we'll talk about that I think could potentially be match of the year.
I believe it's O'Shea Jackson, right? That's Ice Cube's kid, the one that played him in Straight Outta Compton? He's a huge wrestling fan, and he kind of echoed what you just said at one point. He did an interview recently where he was like, I kind of got bashed for not knowing who some of these guys were in AEW. And I'm a wrestling fan, but I don't know who this Mexican wrestler is. I don't know who this Japanese wrestler is. And you just stepping onto the stage doesn't mean I know who you are. This is America, dog. You gotta Hollywood things up, is exactly how he said it. And I was like, yeah, sometimes you have to do it. It's unfortunately, not to sound like we're stubborn Americans, but we're stubborn Americans. There has to be a vignette, or there has to be something with good production quality as to why we are watching what we're watching.
Well, before we get to Dynasty, let's talk about Moxley real fast. So Moxley wins New Japan's title, right?
The IWGP World title.
And he just comes out with it on his shoulder and tells everybody that he won it. And how many of the people that were watching do you think actually knew that he won it before he got there? How many people there know who he even wrestled? How many people there know what he did in order to get this title, this opportunity? How many people there know the lineage behind this thing? Where a nice little promo package leading into it. We're going to start the show off introducing Jon Moxley. We have some amazing news. He just won the IWPG title, and roll the footage. And then a couple little highlights of his journey to get there, him taking it down, even just highlight the match. It does good for both organizations to kind of elevate this. It gets the people in AEW invested in caring about the title, particularly now that they're going to be defending the title on
AEW television.
On the next show.
I agree with you. My other thing is, part of the reason they do that is because here's the thing: is AEW fans do know that stuff because they're the smart marks. They're supposed to be the ones that follow the indies and they follow this stuff, and that's why they're always so gung ho to defend it. But if you're just looking to capture the casual fan who doesn't normally watch Japanese wrestling, you should have a video package for that. Otherwise, if I'm the guy who only watches WWE, all I'm thinking is, why does he have a title belt that looks like Cody's neck tattoo?
I guarantee you, at least 50% of the AEW audience doesn't watch any Japanese wrestling. I'm just saying, like, it's not everyone. Like, I just think there's a need for it. Bring up your production quality. You're willing to throw $15 million at one wrestler. How about you throw $500,000 at a production crew?
Exactly. And sign some actual quality producers.
Yeah.
That actually know what they're doing, not just someone who worked for Oxygen or the Hallmarks channel or whatever it is that their people worked for. I'm not bashing those channels, by the way. I'm bashing the fact that someone that worked for them should not be doing something that is production for something sports related. My other problem with Moxley and the IWGP title is what has been posted recently. There was a wrestler recently that posted that he was a little disappointed that AEW had Moxley defending the IWGP title, and he had to defend it against Will Hobbs. I agree with this guy's stance on this, if mainly because you and I talked about this beforehand, Showtime. We don't know the inner workings of everything, but Will Hobbs is someone who has no connection to New Japan. He's never worked there. He's never wrestled for them. He has no lasting contracts with them. So it's not like you're using this to elevate their talent on your TV show or elevate this championship on your TV show. I also have a side theory on this that we'll get into a little later because it links into another storyline I'd like to get into later, but just why Moxley has this title in general and what he's doing with it. I have my own little side theory on this one. I don't fully think it's going to come true, but we'll see. I still think this would have been better if, especially since he's trying to go against the Callis family, if he had defended against Takeshita. I think he would have. I think there would have been a little less to that. Let's at least defend it against the Japanese guy. I'm just throwing that one out there.
Yeah, and like it's going to be on Dynamite this week. We'll kind of see how it plays out and what happens. But I just don't want, it's a country that really values respect. And so putting a little respect on the belt, I think, is what they need to do. And they need to handle it with the respect it deserves. But again, like you said, we talked about this earlier. I don't know what the agreement that they have internally. Like, they clearly let Mox go over there to be their champion, but he's under contract with AEW. They are in some sort of working relationship. So maybe they're like, defend it as much as humanly possible on American TV so more Americans watch New Japan. If that's the relationship, then they're doing all the respect they need to. So that's the one bit of information that we don't have. That once I call Tony Khan later and he fills me in, I'll let everybody else know.
Yeah, tell TK I said what's up. So on to the actual pay-per-view, Dynasty from St. Louis, Missouri, a wrestling hotbed. Actually, I do agree with that part of the show. St. Louis, Missouri has a huge amount of wrestling history. They are right. This was Sam Munchnick's territory. Sorry, I messed up his name, and he's a legend, so I shouldn't do that. That's a big NWA area, and that's one of those areas that these guys used to work out of because of Munchnick. But the show itself, it opened with a match that could have. I'm not going to go over the pre-show matches. I'm sorry. I'm going with the actual main program at this point. Opened with the Continental Championship, Okada versus Pac. Sorry. And I think this match, you and I spoke about this a little bit. This is an Okada match. I think everyone thought we were going to see more out of this than what was coming out of this, but this is the average Kazuchika Okada style match. And you are right. You said this before, that you were a little bit more impressed with Pac at the end of this. I've liked him since he was Neville in WWE, so that doesn't surprise me. I thought the match was good. I thought it was a good opening match, but it did linger a little bit. It was a little slow at times, as you put it. Showtime, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, the overall, I walked away liking Pac more than I liked Okada. I thought the match was a little slow. If anyone who listens regularly will know that the pace of a match does a lot for me. And I just thought the two of them were a little slow in the beginning. So like that one kind of like pulls me out of it a little bit. And Pac took a vicious DDT, the hanging DDT when he puts his legs up, and his head crunched. I had to go back and rewatch that one a second time. Not for the sadistic nature of it, but to see if he really did just like crush his skull, and he did. And honestly, like there's a few moments in this match that I thought could have been really better storytelling than ending it the way everyone expected it to be ended. That was one of the places where if he would have just gotten counted out after that DDT, no one would have thought twice. But like, yeah, I saw his head crunch. He's done. All right, let's move on. The other part was when there was Pac had a cradle from Okada after he flipped off St. Louis. It was great when he was setting up the Rainmaker and he gave everyone the figure. Oh, that was I popped for that. That was great. And then he got it into a cradle. If he would have lost then, that would have been wonderful. The whole place would have lost their mind. And I will say, I think Okada technically lost in this match. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a stalling German when he like completely deadlifted him and pinned him. And at 3, he kicked his legs, but his shoulders never left the mat. Just saying, that's 3 count in my book. I would have liked to seen anyone try to cover someone after a tombstone pile driver. I don't know when that became a move that didn't do anything to anybody.
It's a setup move now.
That one killed me. Pac had an amazing springboard moonsault. It was a thing of beauty, and it was probably one of my favorite things in this match. Like I said, I was impressed with Pac. I thought he was really good, way better than I thought he'd come out looking in this match. I was thinking that they were going to do everything they could to make Okada look like gold, because it's his first match, his first pay-per-view match since coming on. And I just really thought I'd get more out of it. And it just seemed like a normal match. This could have been on Dynamite.
I agree with you. I really liked a lot of things that Pac did in this. One of the things that he did was that initial dive that he hits on the outside, where he does the twist over the top rope and then like landed on his shoulder, on Okada's shoulder, but also landed on his feet. So like it was just pretty. It was a pretty move. One of the things Okada did during the match that I really, really didn't like, and I thought it was a bad part of the storytelling, especially since they've been displaying him as one of the elite, one of the members of the elite. Sorry, not just an elite worker, but one of the members of the group, the elite, and has kind of been, a snarky heel and a bit of a coward at points. When he asked Pac to just start hitting him, that's not, I get it's a Japanese thing to do, but it's not a very heel thing to do. Like, that seemed a little bit more babyface. And then what threw it off was less than 2 minutes later, he was grabbing the ref's foot so that he couldn't go anywhere. So it's a mixed signal thing. Like, you're either heel or you're not, like either commit or don't do it. And I think that was a little bit of my issues with the match is I think Okada's so used to being Cody Rhodes and John Cena that him being a heel is a little foreign to him at this point. Don't get me wrong. I agree with Jim Ross and everyone else. His dropkick is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But it's the only thing for me that really stood out from Okada is that dropkick. I've said it.
I really dig that kryptonite crunch move on the neck, on the knee.
On the knee,
yeah. I think that should be his finisher. Like, why is that not his finisher? I think the Rainmaker needs to go. Let's just use that. That move's great.
Well, and he has a submission move he used to break out in New Japan. I forget what it is. I think it's like a guillotine or like a Kimura almost. And it was cool because him being the Rainmaker, they used to call it the money clip. And I thought that was cool. Like, hey.
That's cool.
And like, it was one of those where you wrap up, and get it. I was like, oh, do that. I don't know. It's the Rainmaker, for everyone talking huge about it. It's, especially in this promotion, it just seems like a weak finish at this point. And we've said it a bunch of times. I'm not a fan of that finish. I've seen
but there was a ton of great near falls in this match. A couple of advantageous finisher maneuvers, the submission moves. I thought they were great. So this was a good match. It was a solid match to open the card.
Did you see Pac steal my submission move, the Arctic Circle?
I did.
Yeah, there it was. He did it right then and there. The brutalizer. That's was doing that for 15 years before he ever touched it.
Yeah. Well, can't really blame him. It's a pretty move. So.
Yeah. Well, I know. I knew it when I stole it from Yuji Nagata. I mean, no, I came up with that move myself. All around, this match ended how all of us thought it was going to end, with Okada winning. I agree with you. I think if they had done the finish with a count out after that DDT, I think that would have been. I think it would have been shocking. Like, oh, maybe this guy is that good that he can put somebody out with that.
Yeah, like I think that would have been great. Like, just knock him out. Like, I think there needs to be more countouts. I think there needs to be more time limit draws. I think there needs to be more than just, I'm going to set it up and end this match the same way I always do because that's my special finisher move, and this is what the people came to see. Like, I would love to not sit. Like, give me a crucifix. Like, there was that 3-way match with Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte, right?
Yeah,
where they ended the crucifix.
And that was how. Yeah, that's how Becky.
Great. Like, no one expects that.
I like a quick roll up. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
A quick stolen victory, if you will. You won with a wrestling hold. It's kind of cool. I want to remind everyone this is still professional wrestling,
and this is where the best do it, right?
That's what I keep hearing. So next match up is Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe versus the House of Black. Well, there were 3 champions involved in this match and no titles on the line. By the way, I think if they had made a situation where at least one of these or some type of title would have been on the line in this, I think this match might have been a little bit more interesting for me. If they had said, like, hey, if the House of Black pins somebody in this, and whoever they pin, they get that title, that would have piqued my interest a little bit more in this match. All around, it was an okay match. A lot of the proof as to why we keep saying I'm not, you might have changed your mind after this match, but I'm not a huge fan of Eddie Kingston. There was a lot of little slips here and there.
When he fell down?
When he fell down. And
he was so excited.
He was so excited. But he looked like somebody's drunken uncle at a barbecue when he fell down.
I'm curious, when he does the machine gun chops, who gets chopped harder? The person he's chopping or himself? As he's like, I just don't like the machine gun chops. Like, he has, and it's not just him. Anyone who does it.
Anyone who does the machine gun chops, it doesn't make sense. I'd rather watch Gunther throw one hard chop that takes someone out and makes them bump, as opposed to 20 little tiny chops that don't look like they do anything, because they don't look like they do anything.
Just wait till we get to Ospreay Danielson. We'll talk about some chops. And I do have one question: is Briscoe related to the Tasmanian Devil? Because when he wrestles, that's who he sounds like. And I was sitting there listening to him with all those little weird noises. Yeah, like.
So this is no disrespect to Adam Copeland, the artist formerly known as Edge. Mark Briscoe was the most entertaining and my favorite part of this whole match.
Yeah.
I heard another pro wrestling podcast say this almost a year ago, when his brother had passed away. If they had just made him their number one babyface and automatically given him that Ring of Honor title, like right off the bat, it would have elevated everything so quickly. And they just didn't do it. They didn't pull the trigger on it, and he constantly got pushed into the mid card. But Mark Briscoe, he's one of those guys that he reminds me of old school wrestling. He doesn't necessarily look like the average athlete, but he doesn't look like he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. Like, everything he does looks legitimate. It looks real. He doesn't do things that he doesn't normally do. The things he does are not out of character. I love the froggy elbow. I thought the froggy
Yeah.
elbow was awesome, and it's something he's been doing forever. Uh, redneck kung fu or redneck jitsu or whatever they call it is amazing. And like I said, he was the most interesting part of this whole match for me, and he's been the most interesting part of a lot of matches for me. I will, if it's so sad that his brother's not around anymore, because the fact that we can't get more of him and his brother versus FTR, that is it's just a sad thing in wrestling. And they were amazing. They were a great tag team, and he's still an amazing worker in his own right. And I wish we could see a little bit more out of this than we did. I'd like to see a little bit more Mark Briscoe even on the main show. I'd like to see him not just have the Ring of Honor title. I'd like to see him maybe go after Copeland's TNT title. I think he would be a cool guy for that belt. But this match was good. It was kind of what I expected it to be.
Yeah, there were some cool moments within this match. The triple spear I popped for. I thought that was fun. There was another like exchange where one person would hit another person that hit the other person that hit the other person that hit the other person. That all came off so clean and crisp. I really enjoyed that, and like that's what I think that these trios matches should look more like. I did think that these guys did a pretty good job of not laying around. There was a few jamokes than normal, or less jamokes than normal. So that's kind of like, so I like the match overall. Again, like this match, I would have cut this match for 2 promos, just to like give me a little bit more in here. Let's build up some of these matches. Let's get Ospreay on the mic, because I think he's great on the mic. So like that's kind of the things that I would have done here. But it was a good match. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. Nothing to write home about. All of us got it wrong.
We all got it wrong. Well,
3 champions.
But we were all kind of happy about getting this one wrong. Or not happy about getting this one wrong. We wanted the next one to be wrong. And that was Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale. After the House of Black comes off a big win against those 3, Julia Hart loses the TBS title to Willow Nightingale in a match that is so clearly them building Willow up to her and Mercedes Moné.
I had some issues with this match.
That's all I can say about it.
Well, let's be real. I think Hart's hurt. This is about a 6-minute match. Yeah. I think they had to get her in and out of there. I liked Nightingale's gut wrench. It was the gut wrench sit down. Would have been really cool. Was a really cool move. Though I think Willow needs to be stronger. Like she seemed like she was struggling to pick up Hart. She's a little girl. No offense on the way that sounded super condescending, but I just would assume that Willow could muscle her around a little bit more than she could. You can see she stumbled on a couple things. Maybe it's just a balance thing. But I noticed that also with Nia Jax, and we'll talk about that when we get to WWE, where these like big, strong women are supposed to be able to lift people around, and they stumble when they actually show that they have that strength. The Monet coming down, it was all just done poorly, in my opinion. Showing her in the back, she should have gotten jumped by the person that jumped her earlier to show who that person was, right? Like there's a big reveal. Oh my goodness, it was so-and-so with the candlestick in the gorilla position. The like I don't know, like
that shouldn't be as funny to me as it is, but it popped me. Okay.
Or like when she comes down, instead of stealing Willow's thunder of celebrating with her title, give her a mic, build the heat, cut a nasty promo on her in the ring and tell her that's mine. Don't just sit there and posture. Like you're just wasting my time at this point in time. I had to wait for Monet to come down, and then she just pointed at the thing, at the title, and then she went back on her way. give me something here to make that worth it, that you're not just stealing Willow's thunder for winning the title that she deserved. I think it's great that she got the belt. She's done some hard work. She's gotten better every time I see her in the ring. I see improvement. So, like, that's exciting stuff. I don't know. I wanted more out of it. Like, if you're going to give me a 6-minute match, and regardless the reason, and then you're going to build this thing, whatever they're building, because somebody got hurt a year and a half ago that no one here saw. I just, like, give me more, add fuel to the fire.
There is kind of nothing that is going on with Mercedes Moné that I kind of like with the current product. I think she's getting exposed, in all honesty. Her promos are bland and rehearsed. So it's not even just that they're bland. It'd be one thing if she was going out there and cutting a promo on the fly and it just didn't jive. But these are rehearsed promos. These are things that she has written for her. And she's using her writing team that she wants there to write these promos for her. And they're still coming off bland and flat. And she just, I don't know if it's just that she looks like she doesn't want to be there, or the fact, like, I really believe she thinks she's bigger than this company, bigger than her star. I kind of feel like this is something that I thought even when she was with WWE. She thinks that her star power is much, much bigger than what it is. And I've said this since she got signed. I think this is a lot of money that they spent on her. And I think this is money that was spent poorly. I said this in WWE. When she was gone, no one missed her. I'm not missing her. Her not being there doesn't bother me. Her not being in the world title picture with Rhea and Becky and Charlotte and at a point Ronda and all of these people who were just tearing the wall down, none of that bothers me. None of it. I don't care enough. Do I think she puts on a good match sometimes? Yes, I do. I will give her credit on that. Do I think she's bigger than the business? No, because I don't think anyone's bigger than the business, truthfully. And the people who probably do qualify for that know that in real life they're not bigger than the business.
The thing that concerns me, I don't know if I'm not as harsh on her. Like, yes, some of these promos have been a little flat. I blame more the production that they put on at AEW. I think some of that stuff could make some of these better. Like the time that she's allotted, like they didn't give her a mic right now or allow her to do that. Maybe she could have pushed for it, whatever. I'm not in the backstage. I think that they might be leaving her out to dry, though. The fact that she has not been in the ring and been signed for as long as she has, if she does not come out here and have an absolute banger of a match, she's in trouble. I can see the fans turning on her quickly, like particularly AEW fans. As we get into some of the next matches, like they can turn on you in a dime, and once they turn on you, it's hard to get them back.
I think they're gonna, and I think they could turn on her quickly with this. If Willow shows up, even if Willow shows up and has a bad night with her, that's the thing is, if Willow has a bad night, whether it's on Mercedes or not, I think they could turn on her because she's not their homegrown talent. She's somebody that, in all honesty, got paid a lot of money. And you haven't really produced much for me. And it's sad that we're talking more about Mercedes Moné in this situation than the fact that Willow Nightingale won the TBS title, because that should be the bigger part of this story. But the fact of the matter is this title win was just to further their minor feud, that for a match that truthfully probably only half this audience saw. And that's just kind of where we're at with it, I guess. Mm-hmm. We'll see where they go with this. I keep saying I think Julia Hart and Willow Nightingale would do great in NXT and to get that type of tutelage. They're both young. I think I think Julia Hart's only like 23 or something like that. If she gets into the WWE in the next couple of years, she'd be a perfect person to bring up behind some of these other smaller female wrestlers that they have right now that in the next couple of years are probably going to be trying to wind down, or like in Alexa Bliss's case, let's face it, she's paying more attention to having a family right now. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that her priorities are shifting. And I think Julia Hart would be a perfect person to bring in to kind of fill that void of what Alexa Bliss is. But we'll see what happens. Tony likes to give people really good contracts, so a lot of times they stick it out. Sometimes money does talk.
Yeah, more money, less work is quite enticing.
Sometimes you gotta want the grind, though, right? Isn't that what Triple H said?
No.
And Osprey.
I will never. I don't know if anyone put here's more money in less hours or less money in more hours. I don't know who takes the other one. I guess I get
Seth Rollins.
The draw. Yeah, I get the draw. Like, because you have like it's a better organization. You will ultimately get better at the end of the day. But for someone as skilled as Osprey, I don't think that he had to worry about that at all. But now we're going off on a tangent. Let's get back to the card.
Yeah. So that was the TBS title match. The next match is for the AEW Internet.
What's before that? You go, sorry. Both you and I had that right with Willow winning that match, and to just throw back to the pre-card, we did a couple predictions. We didn't put them on last week because we didn't know what those matches were. But the pre-card, we did pick the Acclaimed and the Bullet Club Gold match, and I was the only one that had Bullet Club Gold taking that one down. So as of right now, kind of to resum that up, Bullet Club Gold, I had, we all had Okada versus Pac. We all missed on the trios match, and then you and I both had Nightingale. Scarps had Hart because the word Hart was on a piece of paper, and he was like, all right, that's where I got.
I believe that puts you up 2-1 on me right now, right?
It's
or 3-2 rather. 3-2.
Correct.
So moving on to the AEW International title, what has been called the Workhorse title, and Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly proved it. This was an awesome match. I'm not surprised that this was an awesome match. I like both of these guys. These are two guys who, they are not the biggest dudes in the world, but when you're asked to go out there and do it between the ropes, these two guys do it. This was a wrestling match. This is the type of wrestling match that you and I both like. This is it. There was enough of a fight element to it. There was enough of a technical skill element to it. I know both of them, they don't super high fly, but they do a little bit of a flying type of thing with some of it. I know O'Reilly likes to throw like a jumping knee off the turnbuckles, and Roddy usually doesn't go to the top rope too often, but occasionally he'll toss out a flying elbow. This match was awesome. This was I don't know if it was match of the night, but it might have been my favorite match out of I
think it was my favorite match. I thought this was going to be match of the night until I continued watching the rest of the event and realized how wrong I could have been. But this was probably my favorite match of the night. Roderick Strong did not have nearly as good of a showing against Orange Cassidy when he won the title. Like, I did not expect to see this match come up at this moment in time. So this was super cool. Here's the hypocrisy train's gonna roll in, because as much as I complain about seeing the same move over and over and over again, I loved every single one of the back breakers I saw in this match. There was 11 billion back breakers. Some of them done slightly different. I got some uniqueness to it, but he was doing it all in a way to tell a story with it. He was attacking his back. It wasn't like I was just throwing chops for chopsticks. It wasn't just throwing super kicks that everyone's going to no sell. He was just destroying O'Reilly's back, and I was all for it. There was a cool spot when he slingshotted him into the top rope. There was a ton of near falls. They were constantly reversing each other. This had all the speed. This was the perfect paced match. Like I was talking about the opener where it was kind of slow. This was moving quickly the whole time. It had a constant pace where you leaned forward and you're like, all right, just keep showing me more. So I absolutely love this match. I thought it was great.
Well, and like you said, there was a lot of near finishes on this match. So
many.
So they were trying to win, is what you're telling me was happening. They were accomplishing the goal of what the match was supposed to be, is they're trying to win and they're trying to win and they're trying to win. I love this match. Like I said, I still think this is my favorite match on the card. I understand why it's not the match of the night, though. There is a slight difference. This is still my favorite match. There is a match of the night, and this just isn't it.
This one has real rewatchability. For me, like I went back and watched the second time. I'll probably watch it again, just because I really enjoyed the story they told in the ring.
Now, Roddy wins at the end of this. Retains the international title. That means you and I are both right on this one, and Scarps didn't pick anyone, so just wrong.
So he's wrong.
Scarps is always not here when he's supposed to be getting these predictions.
We count wins, total wins, not averages.
The only thing with this match is having Adam Cole come out, when I've been reading a lot more that he's not near coming back. And again, this could be a situation with them spreading false news, but if he's nowhere near being healthy yet, I wouldn't have even brought him back out yet. Like, it's just it's a tease for no reason.
I don't know if it's that. I could see them easily say that he's making progress, and they need to set up the whole Wardlow thing.
Which even that, I heard Wardlow was supposed to be at a TV taping and got into like a car accident beforehand, and that's why he wasn't there. Yeah, I heard he's not hurt, but like that was what happened. Like he was driving to the arena and like got into a car accident. I forget if they said it was on Dynasty or if it was for Collision or something like that, but it was something where that's why he missed like the weekends tapings and stuff like that.
For
but
Collision?
All around, this match
Sweet irony.
This match was awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed this match.
This is one of those matches that at some point we'll probably go back over and gush over again, kind of like Rhea Becky. But this
didn't hold a candle to Rhea Becky, in my opinion. Like that match was so good.
It was so good. But we've already talked about Mania. Back to Dynasty. Yeah. Next, we have the unsanctioned FTW title that has no sanctioning body, but yet constantly gets defended on this program. The FTW champion Hook versus Chris Jericho, the Ocho, Le Champion, the Lionheart in this one. He's got a lot of names. He's got a lot of personalities, and all of them
Man of 1,004 moves.
Man of 1,004 moves. Y2J, the Painmaker, and I feel like every one of these personalities is getting booed out of the building lately.
The Go Home Jericho chants was a little harsh. I think everyone's being a little unfair to this match, to be honest with you. I think it was a better match than people are giving it credit. Was it good? It wasn't. Like, looking at this card, it was probably the worst match of the night. Probably the whole card, yeah. If you want to say that Hart Nightingale was worse because it was 6 minutes and it really much didn't happen, I can see that argument. But I think this one was kind of like it's always not my style when we do these kind of matches. I do like a good falls count anywhere. Like I like that's in this title. No rules. Like you don't have to pin them in the ring. But I think that it was one of those things where it happened. I don't know where to go with that next. The Jericho got a title that he never owned before. I think that really mattered. He wasn't Lionheart. He was the learning tree.
Oh, that's
Chris
right, the
Jericho
learning tree.
in this match, and I'm sure that that's going to be his new stable that he defends his title around with guys that want to learn from him. They gave us some mixed messages. Hook was giving him the respect in the beginning, which was cool. I would like to see Hook not do that because he's still annoyed at him, but it is what it is. This match, I don't want to waste too much time on this match. This match was mid at best. It was fine. No one really cared. The FTW title isn't being built up enough for me to care all that much about it. I think this is weighing Hook down in a tremendous way, and Jericho has go home heat.
I'm gonna say it. I hope this is Hook's goodbye. I hope this is him getting signed to WWE. I hope Triple H and HBK can get their hooks in him. No pun intended, but there it is.
You intended that.
Oh, I intended that one. I hope that someone gets in his ear so he can get some good tattoos instead of those crummy prison tattoos he has. And I hope that they pack on about 10 pounds of muscle on him soon. I think Hook has a whole lot of potential. I think Jericho is scratching and clawing for the last little bit of coolness he can try to find.
I fear Hook going to WWE. I think he might get just wasted there because of how small he is. Like, no one's this small, and I know that the big man isn't their MO anymore, but I feel like even if you stacked him up next to Ricochet, which I think could be a really cool match between the two of them, I think Ricochet looks like he's twice as big as him. So I don't know. I could just see him getting lost in that shuffle. Maybe not. Maybe the fact that he's Taz's son. Maybe that he's so talented it allows him to rise to the top here. But WWE feels like a place that could really just suck the soul out of him.
I think, I think this is why I say let's get 10 to 15 pounds of muscle on him before we really did much more with him. He's a former college athlete. The problem is he still looks like he's a college athlete. He doesn't look like he's a pro athlete. He looks like a college lacrosse player because he was a college lacrosse player. And he was like a D1 college lacrosse player. But he looks it. He looks like he's still 19 years. Like, he looks like he still has a 19-year-old body. And I need him to have a 25-year-old body. If that makes sense to anyone out in the world that I'm saying this to, I need him to have a man body. And he still looks like he kind of has a kid that's in shape body. I think he's super talented. And I think he's super talented. And I think on the other side of things, everyone is so tired of Jericho, they were ready to boo this match out of the building. I think, I agree with you. I don't think this match was as bad as a lot of people are saying it was, but I think everyone is ready to just be done with Chris Jericho for a little bit.
This match sucked the air in the building. The fans were out of it. And correct me if I'm wrong, was Toni Storm Thunder Rosa in the next match?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was because that match started and no one cared because they were still exhausted
from hating the previous match.
Yeah. And they got into it. Like, Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa did a great job and they brought him back into the match. But, when they started wrestling, the stadium was silent.
Well, and this is, this is another situation of, unfortunately, the AEW Women's World title being stuck in a position that they had to fight their way out of in this case. Because it happened at the last pay-per-view, too. Putting them where they were last time made the match seem not as good as it was. And I thought last time when it was Deonna Purrazzo versus Toni Storm, I thought that match was really good. I thought this match was also very good. Again, they had to, the beginning of the match, not just the fact that the air was sucked out of the arena. I'm not a fan of how they started the match. I don't care that it was a jump start and that they started fighting right off the bat. I care more about the fact that the strikes that were kind of being thrown looked a little bit too catfighty and a little weak. And they turned it around. And again, this is me nitpicking on this match. All around, this match was good. I think they suffered a little bit from placement again. I think putting as much as you want the women's title on after the TBS title, because the TBS title is technically the mid-card title, I think if you had flip-flopped those two matches, this match would have done better in spot number 3 or 4 on the main card, and then put the TBS title, which was only 6 minutes, on just before we're about to get hot with Ospreay and Danielson, the Bucks and FTR in the ladder, and Samoa Joe and Swerve for the world title.
All I would have done was flip this with the Hook Jericho match, and then you could let them suck the air out of the building. Not that they expected that to happen.
Because the Ospreay match,
Ospreay and Danielson.
Yeah, it wouldn't have killed Ospreay, and it probably wouldn't have killed the Bucks and FTR either, if that was.
But so we can actually move off of Jericho and Hook because everyone else has already. You and I both picked Jericho. Like I said, we did this not on the pre-show. There was 3 matches that we didn't pick last show. We talked and put them all in here, and it was Acclaim versus the Bullet Club Gold. It was Hook versus Jericho, and it was Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly.
And so far, where are we both 2 for? Or no, you're 3 for 3 with that, aren't you?
Yeah, I went 3 for 3
for those.
I swear I didn't cheat, but that's what it was. Right now, you're sitting at 4. I'm sitting at 5, and Scarf's sitting at 1.
Oof. That's why he doesn't come in here when it's match reveal day. When it's you pick him, he doesn't come on the show for a reason. All right, so Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa, we all picked. Or no, I'm sorry, I picked wrong on this one. I picked Thunder Rosa just to be a little different. You guys both picked Toni Storm. I thought there was a chance that they were going to give Thunder Rosa this title that she's never lost back. I don't think it would have hurt either storyline. I don't think it would have hurt Toni Storm at this point. I thought that this match was good. Like I said, I think to agree with what you were saying, Hook and Jericho sucking the air out of the room hurt the start of the match.
Like it made me feel awkward.
Yeah, they had to get the fans back. I think they did, but I also think that this could have been better off right off the bat if they didn't have to follow that match.
Yeah, I thought this was an incredibly solid match. I really enjoyed it. I liked the juxtaposition of the face paint and not face paint. How Toni kind of wore that extra makeup to make it look like she had a mask on, whereas in Thunder Rosa comes down with a real mask and takes it off, and she's surprised, not wearing it. I thought that was a nice little ode to kind of juxtaposition things a little bit. I thought this was a great match. Toni Storm does the cloverleaf. You know me, I love a good cloverleaf. And there's really, I'm not surprised at all. Toni Storm is so over right now with the crowd. I think taking the title off her now would have been a huge mistake. That's why I chose her. I think this was their way of taking the paper championship off of her. For those that don't know, paper champion is someone who never actually beat the champion in order to be champion. How many times can I say champion in a sentence? And champion. So the fact that Thunder Rosa lost was kind of to vacate the title because of injury. Toni Storm winning it. Now this is their way of kind of showing that Toni could have beaten Thunder Rosa from the beginning and champion.
So we got done with that. AEW's Women's World Title. Again, I thought it was a good match. On to the match of the night. There's no way that this isn't the match of the night, right? Like Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson. This is what we kind of thought was going to be match of the night, and it became match of the night. I expected this match to be good, and it exceeded my expectations. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this match because it was that good. I'm not usually a spot match kid, and Osprey does it so well that it's almost like a different animal. It's not a spot monkey match. He just does cool stuff.
It's not fair because it's not that, right? He is not a spot monkey. He does some big spots in the right moments when you need big spots. Mick Foley getting thrown off of a cage doesn't make him a spot monkey. It means that was a devastating move at the right time in the right match to make that make sense. I love that corkscrew that he had when he hit Danielson on the outside and like landed on his feet. And Callis makes the comment like, yeah, even if he misses, he does it in a way where he'd land on his feet. I'm like, that's making one of those really insanely high risk maneuvers makes sense. Like, oh, I could do this, and if I miss, because it's a high likelihood that it's high risk that I'm going to miss, I can land on my feet safely and not destroy myself by doing a triple somersault and landing on my face. Like this whole match was I wouldn't call it a mirror match, but it was kind of like I'll show you yours and you show me mine kind of thing. And I really did enjoy it tremendously. I think this was the match of the night. This might be match of the year. I'm planning us to kind of in December, kind of give our top 5, top 10 matches of the year and kind of go reverse order on what we think of them are. Right now I have 2 candidates. Like I'm not going to say either which way where they fall, but it's the Rhea Becky match at WrestleMania, and it's this one. This match was absolutely fantastic. It was everything I wanted and more.
So to reiterate what you were saying, it's not a mirror match. It was a match of one-upmanship.
Yeah, that's like exactly
that's what you were trying to say. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your flow though either.
Yeah,
I love this match, and that's the thing is, like I said, as good as we thought this match was going to be, I actually thought this match ended up being better, which that's giving it pretty high praise because I think last week we even said this match is going to be awesome. We said it was going to be awesome last week. We said it was going to be awesome 2 weeks ago. We said it was going to be awesome when they announced it. This match is better than the Takeshita match, and that match was amazing. That match made us.
There's a
think
real.
Sorry. I know, like you and Scarps didn't really know who Takeshita was before he wrestled Ospreay, and then both of you came out of it saying, "Well, now I'm a Takeshita fan." And this match was better. Now you could also say, well, it was also with Bryan Danielson, so you took Will Ospreay, who's already just amazing, and put him in there with Bryan Danielson, who is considered by many to be the best technical wrestler in the world right now. Yeah, and styles make fights, and this was an awesome style. I think they did everything right.
The difference between the Takeshita match and this one is there were these crazy spots. That was more the spot junkie match. And not that it was, I don't want to be unfair to that match either, but there was like the brainbuster on the corner, on the turnbuckle. There was a bunch of different moves in that match where I felt like they shouldn't have gotten up from it. That didn't happen in this match. This match was super crisp and clean in that aspect of things. The kickouts, though he's going to be down. The match is over. He kicks out. I'm not like, yeah, right. I'm like, oh, I can't believe he kicked out. So like it's one of those. The story was told way differently here. I thought this was done exactly the way you want to have a match done in that aspect of things. When you have people come out again, there was a spot where Danielson could have been counted out that I was like, I kind of want to be counted out. I got to 9 and now I can run and get in the match. Like I'm being super nitpicky. I'm not even trying to take this match down a peg. This match is awesome. I just hate that in general and I feel like people are doing it a lot more recently. And so I love this match. The crippling of Bryan Danielson at the end of the match was a little cringe on my part.
Oof.
And so not say I don't mind a good story. That's where I thought the disbelief came in, because as they moved him around and they carried him out of the ring, if he really hurt his neck like that, you're going to put him on a board.
I don't think he hurt his neck. I think he dislocated his shoulder. Like I think he hurt his shoulder really bad.
Oh no, that was definitely at work. He didn't really hurt.
I don't know. The only reason why I'm going to say I think it was a work is if it wasn't, and the ref walked away from him the way he did and still let him take the finish. Which, don't get me wrong, the hidden blade isn't exactly the biggest move that Ospreay does. But if he did the move, if he really got hurt, and you still let him take a finisher after that, that ref needs to be fired. Because that's the only reason why I'm saying it's a work. It's also, I don't think it's his neck. I think if they're going to claim anything, they're going to claim his shoulder. That's why he was able to get back to his knees.
But then why was he doing this with his shoulder injury?
As a guy who's hurt his shoulder, your arm does bend up automatically like that.
No, it's more the fingers. He was doing the I have nerve damage finger moves. Regardless, it was definitely a work. There's no way that was real.
It could just be the fact
not
that
pull back the curtain too much.
No, but it could also just be the fact that Bryan Danielson does probably have actual nerve damage, not from this match, just in life. That
one actually could be true.
Yes.
And he's done this before. He's known to do this kind of spot. I think at the end of the day, what it allows is Bryan Danielson to kind of sideline himself a little bit. I think he deserves a break. He is winding down, as you would say. He's closer to the end than the beginning of his career, and I think that this is his way of kind of taking a moment. This match would have been kind of cool if the ref would have called it and been and awarded.
I would have liked them to call it. I would have liked them to call it, and. Cool. And Danielson being gone for a little bit, I think gives him a chance to maybe sit behind the scenes and actually produce some matches. Because I don't know. I don't know the level of agent or producer or whatever title you want to call him. He could really be. I'm not saying that Bryan Danielson isn't a wrestling genius, because I do think he is. I think part of it, though, is there's a difference between being a player and being a coach. And he might be a better player than he is a coach. And as much as he's a wrestling genius, what works for him doesn't mean that he knows what will work for guy B, C, and D. He can put on a great match with anybody. But when he's trying to produce a match with, let's say, Ospreay and, I don't know, Omega or somebody else, he might not be able to do that. And that might be the real reason why he hasn't kind of stepped back as much as they maybe even want him to, just because of how much backstage power they say that they're giving him. So him not being able to wrestle, this might be a good chance for them to really, really test those waters. And I think that would be better.
I have no doubt. I don't doubt him at all. I think that he'll be able to put on help produce amazing matches at the same clip that he does for himself. I will say one spot in this match that I absolutely loved was when Ospreay asked for the chop, and then Danielson gave it to him, and he was really sorry he asked for it, and he tried to play it off that I'm tough enough to take that chop, and then immediately doubled over afterwards, and that one cracked me up. I'm like, you asked for it.
You did ask for that, bud. So Ospreay wins the match. We all picked that. This was definitely match of the night. The only thing that I have an issue with this, and I said it last week, was with the storyline building into this match. I'm sorry, I don't have an issue with this match. The issue I have with this storyline building into this match is that they were saying that this was to figure out who the best wrestler in the world is. If you're not wrestling for the World Heavyweight title, you're not deciding who the best wrestler in the world is. You can say that these guys are better than the two guys that were in the world title match, but the fact of the matter is the belt, the title, the championship, whatever terminology you want to use it for, is the distinguishing factor of who the best in the world really is. And until, every time that they say we're wrestling for respect, okay, cool. We're wrestling to see who the best in the world is. Well, then you should be in the world title match, because that's who's deciding who the best in the world is.
I don't know if I fully agree with that. So I get what you're saying, and you're right in theory. But the delineation of the best technical wrestler is more what I think they mean here. because Joe might be the best wrestler in AEW based on like Superstar, but he's a brawler. Like if you're gonna put him in a match with Danielson and you're only able to technically wrestle, he's gonna lose 9 times out of 10. But if you go in there with the normal rules of wrestling where he can go and do the things he does well to win that match, it's a coin flip who's going to win. So, like, you might be taking that term a little too literally, or maybe they didn't say it correctly on AEW, which, surprise. But the way I walked away from this is like, who's the best technical wrestler in the world? And I think that we got an answer as of right now. It's still probably Bryan Danielson, but Ospreay put on a great match too.
Ospreay is still the hottest star in wrestling right now. That's who he is. It's him, and I think it's him by himself at this point. The next match, we've got the Young Bucks versus FTR in the finals for the tag team title in a ladder match. So this match was better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be good. I think this was still better than I thought it would be. I will say this. Little things. I loved FTR's gear. I love the fact that...
loved it.
I loved it. I love the fact that they have the matching gear, even though it's distinguished as their own gear. It's something that I know when you and I were first starting to tag up and we were trying to get matching gear going, we were talking about that. Like, yeah, we're wearing the same stuff, but at least it's like a different color here or there. But I loved that gear. I love that color gray that they had on. I loved that it was kind of old school looking. I loved the fact that Dax, not Cash, the bald one, Dax, that his gear foreshadowed him later in the match. Because if you looked, it looked like half of his face was weird on his gear, and he ended up bleeding on that half of his face later. It's little things like that I like seeing in matches. And I will admit, I was wrong. There was only a few super kicks in this match. I'm sorry, there were only a few kicks because the amount that the Bucks do super kicks, as Showtime puts it, they're not super anymore. They're just kicks.
Dax loves to bleed, man.
Oh,
he absolutely loves to gush. And I think there were some interesting aspects of this match. I enjoyed this match in general. I think you've said before that you think that the Young Bucks have go home heat. I don't think so. I think the crowd were into this. Maybe it's the releasing of the video. Maybe they've reinvigorated a little bit. I wasn't overly excited to see them win this match. I wanted FTR to win. I just think they're a better team. But at the end of the day, the crowd was into it. They were cheering for the Bucks at certain parts of this match.
Here's the thing: the AEW faithful will back the Young Bucks forever. Like, how long do you have to watch this dog for? Forever. With that said, this is one of those things that I've said about FTR in the past. FTR is the best tag team in the world. Part of what makes them the best tag team in the world is that they get the best matches out of everyone. Every tag match. I'll pose the question to you. Now that you know who FTR is, I'm not sure what the right word is here that I'm looking for, but who they are, now that you're back into the loop of things with this, when was the last bad FTR match that you've seen? They don't have it. And that's the proof. And you can say, well, the so-and-so had their best match. Yeah, but who was it with? It was with FTR. If you look, the Lucha Brothers, their best match in AEW is with FTR. If you look, the Briscoes, though I had the argument that they could have been the best tag team in the world, their best tag match was with FTR. You know what that means? FTR is the best tag team in the world. I think the Bucks have their best matches with FTR. I don't think anyone else that they wrestle holds them back enough that some spot monkeys. They are spot monkeys. And some of the stuff that they do, it doesn't translate into proper storytelling, where Dax and Cash will do nothing but storytelling. And they make sure every move matters. Everything they do matters in that match. The reason why FTR loses, because they go against the grain and they do something that they shouldn't do. There were so many cool spots in this match. There was a point where Dax gets Irish whipped on the outside, and he hits the ladder. And I was like, oh man, I really wanted him to like do the slide under the ladder. And then I watched Cash do it right after I was thinking it. I was like, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for giving me what I wanted. I like that we got to see a little bit more of Cash's athleticism in this. I know he's
a beast in this match.
He's so good. And to go against what one of the kind of how the announcers were saying it, I know there's a point where Dax was clutching his knee because he went through that table. His knee didn't hit the table. His knee hit the chair that was sitting next to the table. And I think they should have been more on top of that one a little bit. But again, that's why I think that was real knee pain. Like he slammed his knee that's braced up into a chair that was unfolded on the outside of the ring. All around, I thought this match was good. Again, this is not one of those ones I'm going to knock, even though it is. I'm not a fan of the Bucks. That doesn't mean I'm going to knock this match just because they're in it. I'm knocking the fact that the Bucks won it because I'd rather have seen FTR win it. I understand why they had. Again, they're still building off of this whole footage being leaked and having Jack Perry come out. And again,
Sting came out. Sting came out of the crowd, and he anointed the Young Bucks as his successor. That's what I saw.
That's what it was. That's only because the only thing you know about Jack Perry is the fact that his father was on 90210.
It's not just that. Come on, we got Jungle Boy here.
But yes, I did like this match. I like FTR matches, and I thought they toned him down, or they toned down the Bucks just enough for us to all be happy about it. I liked a lot of the storytelling that they did in this match.
This is a solid match. I like that the Young Bucks won via shenanigans, not actually just going over on them. Like without Jack Perry there, I'm actually a little disappointed in the way this goes down. I want to see FTR as the champions anyway, but like the fact that that Jack Perry comes in and helps the Bucks win. They're really going big with the heat that he already has. I think Jack Perry is actually the one that kind of comes out of all this looking the best in the long run because his merch sales have been great. The scapegoat gimmick is actually pretty cool. I could like see him kind of running with that as well. I think it levels up the EVP kind of storyline. Now you got 4 of them. Hangman may come back eventually. You have a solid like heel corporate stable kind of thing going on. I just hope they do some cool storytelling with it and kind of get that to the next level, because otherwise it's going to be flat and overdone and overused and redone if they don't.
I know we've talked that we'll go into some of the storylines. I could see Perry coming out of this if they keep doing it if they do it the right way. Let me reiterate that. If they work him the right way, he could get heat on himself like Dominic Mysterio at this point. Because
I've heard that before too.
Yeah, but they want to boo him, and he's part. And let me change it a little bit. People enjoy booing Dom. People actually dislike Jack Perry, and
that's why he'll never have Dom heat.
That's the thing is, I think he'll actually get booed, but like real heel booing heat, not just like Dom getting booed out of the building. I'd actually more equate him to go back a little ways, like ECW Dudley's. Like they might trash his car in the parking lot, they might actually do things where like he needs to be walked to wherever he's going. Dom, it's cool to boo him. Like we all enjoy the fact we hate the fact that he's with Rhea and we love to boo him. Like it's those two things. And it's more fun to boo him than anything else, where I think Jungle Boy could turn into a situation where he becomes a true heel, a not just a polarizing figure, a figure that we dislike. We want to see him get his ass kicked. But again, it has to be done correctly, and we'll see if that happens moving forward. But we all picked FTR in this. I think we were all hopeful. We all love we all love FTR, and we were all wrong in this one.
They'll win it when they have their next rubber match.
Yeah, the best of 6.
Yeah, it's the run to 7, whatever they end up doing.
However they do it. Finally, we have the AEW World Title match: Samoa Joe, the champion, versus Swerve Strickland. And Mr. Showtime, you are the only one correct on this one.
Surprise, surprise.
I really like this match. I thought this was a great use of both of these guys. I think you got Swerve to have a really good moment at the end. I wasn't mad about Swerve winning this match. I did think that we could have drug this feud out a little longer. I think that this could have gone to Wembley and we could have done it there. But I would have liked this to just go a little longer, I think. I think I would have almost liked to have seen maybe something where Nana double crosses him or something and goes full heel, and that's why Swerve doesn't win. And it's still the matter of, well, you still haven't beaten me cleanly. And we just keep going on with that. But all around, this match was good. It was clean. It was a good match. I have no complaints about this match. Honestly, if Ospreay and Danielson weren't what they were and Roddy and Kyle didn't do what they did, there's a good match. There's a good chance this could have been my favorite match on the card. But it was, like I said, it was good. It was clean. I have no issues with this match whatsoever.
Yeah, it was it was solid. It was a great main event world title match. Joe was on point. This is really cool. His punches actually looked pretty strong in this match. I know that we like to throw a little shade at him for his weak punches. Those jabs were actually on point in this match. I kind of walked away with that. Swerve deserved the title. I love that he won it here. As you can see, I thought he was going to win it here. I don't disagree with what you're saying on how this could have gone a little bit longer, but I don't expect that kind of storyline from AEW at this moment in time. They don't have that longer term thinking on how this stuff can actually draw and build stuff up and how do we get it to. Like, this match would have been cool. I know they just did it, and I wish they didn't with Hangman and Swerve, but like if this match went to a time limit draw, could have been kind of cool. But it wouldn't have been cool because they just did it with Swerve and Hangman. But without that, Monday Morning Quarterback. So, but I really enjoyed it. There were some really good spots in it.
By the way, TK, I know you're listening to us. We are available to be hired for some long-term storytelling. I just want to point that out. Like, Tony Khan, I live in Florida. Showtime can fly to Florida anytime you need him to. We can write your stories. Trust me, we got this.
Yeah, if you're gonna fly Ospreay from Heathrow every week, I can easily hop down from Jersey.
We're way less expensive. Showtime will fly Spirit.
Like hell, I will. Oh,
he wants Delta
United
at least.
guy. A United guy. Come on, this is Newark. We got to go right out of the United hub. But at the end of the day, and United not a sponsor, but they can be. Come on, you won't do it. No, I like this match. It was a really, really strong match at the end of the day. The title changing hands, it was a good spot. I would like to see this again, to be honest with you. Like I get the Wembley stuff. Let's have Joe go in there as the challenger and go against Strickland again. Uh, like, I don't think the storyline is done. Like, this has been one of the few good build-ups to this pay-per-view where you kind of lean forward and you're getting vested. So I would like to kind of see it again. I want to see where they go from here. Like, because otherwise, I don't know what they do with Joe.
I wouldn't mind seeing kind of a blow off of a rubber match. They haven't had their 3 matches, right? Like they've had matches where Joe won and Swerve won, so let's have one more with, like you said, with Joe as the challenger, and maybe do something in between. Again, don't do it on a Dynamite, don't do it on a Collision. There's got to be a pay-per-view in between this and Wembley. Like, there's got to be another pay-per-view in between this and Wembley. Please let there be another pay-per-view between this and Wembley, because they're going to have this pay-per-view. They're going to have Wembley, and then a week later they're going to do Chicago again. So please, please, please give us something in between so that Swerve becomes a viable, a true viable champion that to go on to possible storylines coming out of this pay-per-view. Like I said, that Ospreay can beat, because I think that's what's going to end up happening. I don't know if I see a world where Ospreay doesn't walk out of Wembley with a title. I don't know what the title is going to be. Maybe they're going to try to set him up with Okada and really kind of highlight that title a little bit. But I don't know if that's the world that we're living in. I think it's going to end up being, I could see Ospreay winning the world title at Wembley and immediately Okada going after him and having the heel chase the babyface for a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at a schedule right now, and forgive me if any of this is wrong, but you have Dynasty, and then next you have Double or Nothing in Vegas.
Okay, yeah, Double or Nothing. I think that's usually Vegas. They might be doing it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's in Vegas. And then, this is 24 schedule. They have the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door event.
Okay. That's in Portland, I think.
It's in Long Island.
Oh, that's right. No, Final Door's in Long Island. They were going to do it at Arthur Ashe, and I think they decided against it just because Arthur Ashe holds like 30,000 people.
And then you have All In, and then you have All Out in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you have Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and then World's End. So there's 9 events booked as of right now. As of this random article that I popped up that just crashed my computer.
Well, that's terrible.
So
it could be the 300 tabs that you have open.
I know. I've cleaned it up recently. There's only about 150 tabs open.
Okay, fair enough. So possible, again, I think possible storylines coming out of this. I think there's no world that we don't see them start building Will Ospreay up towards the world title. I think that it kind of needs to happen. He is the biggest star they have. He's putting on the best matches on the show. I think they need to do it. I think Okada starts getting built towards the world title a little bit too. I think one of them comes out of Wembley with the world title.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 of them are in a triple threat match with Swerve or something like that.
And that's what I'm saying. Or the 2 of them are going to be wrestling at Wembley, and whoever wins that gets the world title shot at Chicago.
Yeah.
Like a week later.
We've talked about this. I have a nice storyline that has Ospreay staying completely away from the world title for a while to kind of build it up and kind of build the anticipation for him rather than throwing these 2 guys in the world title picture right away, because you have them for 3 years, you have them for long-term deals, and putting the world titles on them right away is going to be like, great, they have it, now what? And it's going to kind of get us to a point where there's just not enough build for them to get to that spot. I know that they were people before they got to AEW, but you have to kind of do your thing in AEW in order to earn that spot. There are people here that have earned it, that have been working to get to these levels ahead of time, that I would like to see them go through some of these hoops. I'll give Okada a little bit of a pass because they are part of the EVP group, and that makes sense in storyline of them like helping their boy out get where they need to go to, but keep Ospreay out of that. Keep these two people. The anticipation of the two of them facing off each other. I don't want to see that this year. I don't even know if I want to see that next year.
If they're going to keep, and again, this is hinging on New Japan keeping the title on Moxley. I wouldn't mind seeing Okada trying to go back and reclaim his title. Let's face it, that's his belt. And if we got Moxley and him in Wembley as kind of a way to cement Moxley as the IWGP champion, I wouldn't mind that either. But again, it also
would that be a better
hinges on them keeping the belt on him. Yeah, it hinges on him keeping the belt until then, which also might be a situation that I don't know if they do or they don't. Again, I have some other storyline ideas that I don't always like the fantasy book, but I also love the fantasy book at the same time. There are things I wouldn't mind seeing and things that I think as much as it'd be cool, it would also be one of those things that comes out of left field a little bit, even though it's also completely predictable at the same time. Like, it's one of those things, oh man, that makes so much sense, but like, I didn't see it come.
I bet you Mox loses at Hidden Door, or Forbidden Door, sorry.
Forbidden Door,
yeah. Where he wrestles as an AEW guy versus a New Japan guy. And the New Japan guy wins it at Forbidden Door. So,
and then they'll probably rematch it up at Wembley or something like that. And
yeah.
So that was AEW's pay-per-view Dynasty. Again, I thought it was good. It was we had some fun matches in there. I think for the way the card looked a little bit more stacked than what we came out of it seeing. I think I would have. I don't know. Maybe I am just a jaded wrestling fan, and I would have. I think I wanted more out of it, but all around, I didn't hate it. I just don't know if
that's the thing. I wanted more out of a lot of these matches. I wanted more out of the Okada Pac match. I wanted more out of the trios match. I could have got, just give me anything in that Hook Jericho match. Like, actually just take it off the card.
That could have been on the pre-show.
Yeah, so like there was just a decent amount of matches here that I just wanted a little bit more, and it would have been way better. I think that the Ospreay Danielson match completely delivered. The Young Bucks FTR completely delivered. The Samoa Joe Strickland match, it could have been a little better, but like I don't want to ding that one too much. I thought it was a solid match. The problem with it was it wasn't anywhere close to the best match in the card, and I think that's what I would have wanted. Was it to then compete with the Ospreay Danielson match, or
even the Roddy, or even compete with the Roddy Kyle O'Reilly match.
Yeah, I think that one was substantially better than the main event as well. So and that's just personal interest stuff, and it was a solid world title. It was a great match. There was just a lot of other matches on the card that were arguably better. Arguably, the Young Bucks FTR match was better too. So. Those are the things those I think is what leaves you wanting more. And then at the end of the day, what really matters is that I outpredicted you and Scarps substantially this time. Like you should be embarrassed. It's not just him; it's you now too. So out of the total 10 matches that we picked, you got half right, Steven. Half. That's not even a passing grade. Well, not in America. Elsewhere, I think it is. But here,
maybe I'm moving there.
You got an F minus, but still beat Scarps, who had 3. But he also didn't pick 3 matches, so I don't know. Scarps might have beat you this time. He got all 3 of those right. He has 6. I'm going to assume he did. I'm going to just award him those points, just so you lose to him.
You don't get to do that when he's not here.
I can do whatever I want. I run the pick-up. And then I got an astounding, an amazing 8 out of 10. And honestly, I should have probably called the trios match correctly because they're setting up the TNT title match. Like that was right there.
So what's our total? Because I know you're ahead, but we've got what 4, 11, 11.
So it's on here.
21.
So are we counting everything that we've ever picked? Starting with
that's what
Chamber?
I'm looking at.
So I have 29 right, you have 25 right, and Scarps has 11.
Oof.
But he missed missed some picks. Like he missed all of Revolution. He missed all of it. And Revolution was 7 matches.
Oof.
So like that's where we were at because we tied Elimination Chamber, we tied Revolution. I beat you at Mania by 1, and I beat you at Dynasty by 3. You should be ashamed of yourself. Got some catch up to do. Good thing it's a long year.
I'll catch you at Backlash.
I doubt it.
I don't know. Probably not. All right. So speaking of Backlash and WWE, let's go right into some of the stuff going on with SmackDown. It looks like they are setting up Tiffany Stratton for a title shot. I know at one point you said you didn't want them to push her too quickly. I kind of don't feel like this is too quickly, though, at this point. I think this is in that realm of it's okay right now. She's been a hot enough prospect where I'm okay with her getting her title shot, especially since they left her off Mania kind of completely. So
couldn't believe that. That's still shocking.
I think that's where I'm at with this. Is they pulled back on her too much. I wanted her on Mania. She's amazing. Like she's doing so good. She's the rich girl that you want to hate. She's so good that because she's so good, you actually want to hate her more. And I mean, her boyfriend just turned on his tag team partner, so there's that.
This whole angle, I think they're setting up Bayley, Naomi, Tiffy time 3-way match.
At Backlash,
and I'm all for it. Yeah, I think the 3 of them working together will be really good. I'm afraid it's gonna be a little slow. I think that like the one ding I always give Naomi is I think she's a little bit of a slow worker. And I think that some of the other ones can move faster. I think Bayley isn't necessarily the fastest worker out of the gate. So that makes me a little worried about that. But at the end of the day, this is cool. I actually think that they're setting up Tiffy for Queen of the Ring winner. So
I can see
we'll see how that works out. I don't know who I'd want to see win over her. I could see them doing something with Jade Cargill. I could see them doing something with Nia Jax. I could see them putting a lot of people in that. Liv Morgan winning it. So there are a lot of contenders, but if I had to put money on it right now, my money would be on Tiffy.
See, I could see her being Queen of the Ring as well. I think it fits her. She's the center of the universe and all that jazz. I could definitely see her winning the Queen of the Ring. The other thing I could definitely see her coming out of is the Money in the Bank winner. I could see her winning Money in the Bank this year. And mainly because it's a ladder match. She's so athletic. She can do all that type of stuff. I could see her coming out of that and coming out of it hot. Like I think that would be good. Again, I don't think they're pushing her too quickly at this point. I think we're back at the point where it's the perfect level where she should be. She should be near the top, if not at the top already by now.
She's put on enough good matches now that I'm not as scared. So like the reason I had trepidation beforehand is because if she comes out, she has a good elimination chamber and they rock her to the moon and she has a bunch of dud matches, she's done. There's no comeback. Like maybe not done, but like then you have to rebuild and then you have to send her back to NXT and now you have to go and
then you have to change your gimmick and do this and do something else that doesn't necessarily work.
But instead, she had a really good match with Naomi where she went over on Naomi and then had another one where she lost. So those were really good matches. And she's come out enough times now to have enough solid matches where I'm not as concerned. I'm just always concerned about pushing somebody too quickly and then the crowd turning on them and they don't even get a chance to be who they need to be before they even start. So this is cool. Let's see how it works out. I actually hope she doesn't win the title. I think Bailey's gonna have a little bit of a run, and I would actually like to see her.
I'd
I think
like,
the ring is perfect for her. Like it fits her gimmick perfectly. It could be so fun. She can do whatever she wants. She can turn it into like I don't want to see her be like, I'm the queen and like wear a crown or whatever. But like let
no, but I
her
could see
take
her
that and do
wearing
her own
like,
little thing to it.
yeah, like a tiara, like just like a princess tiara, like something small that she can just put in her hair and take it out during matches, and like she doesn't have to wear a full crown or anything like that. I could see that, and like you said, turn it into her own thing, kind of
Mhm.
like she has done with everything else. Like she's not reinventing herself. She's just in the process of inventing who she's going to be, and she's another one who she's young. She's only been in the business about 2.5, 3 years now. She's probably their hottest prospect that they have in the women's division right now, as far as young up and comers. And
Mhm.
I could definitely see her putting on some bangers with some of those top level people.
Yeah, and I'm all for it.
Uh, so going from someone who looks like they're getting a title shot to someone who's actually getting a title shot, AJ Styles beat LA Knight for the number one contendership against Cody Rhodes. I think this is good. This is exactly what they should be doing. AJ's a viable challenger to give Cody that rub. Well, I didn't just beat Roman Reigns off of emotion. I beat AJ Styles, who is a phenomenal wrestler. No pun included for the phenomenal on that one. He is
You
that
keep
though.
saying not intended. You intend these things. Don't lie.
This time I didn't do it. This wasn't on purpose. But AJ, he is that good. He's so good, and this is going to be a good match.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind it's going to be good.
So here's the thing. I know that Triple H says that he only is competing against himself, but I guarantee you, the tagline AEW is where the best wrestle sticks in his craw a little bit. Now he's not going to change a ton of stuff on the normal SmackDown or Raw. We're still going to get more commercial time than wrestling matches, which is unfortunate, and I would love to see more wrestling. But at the same time, like putting on a Cody versus AJ Styles as the first challenger is one of the perfect ways to do this because I think you're going to get an amazing match out of this. And I assume Cody's going to go over at this point in time. But the two of them in the ring together going all out is going to be, it'll probably be a better actual match than Cody versus Roman.
I think this is going to be a really good match. I also think this is a good first title defense before we lead into something where Cody has an actual storyline feud with. Because this isn't a feud. This is just a defense. And I think this is the defense that they need right now while they're trying to figure out, or I'm sure they have it figured out. I'm not going to say it like that. I'm sure they know who they're going to have Cody feud with next. The thing is, though, is where a couple days away from the first night of the draft, they're not going to be setting them up with a huge feud that isn't going to pay dividends with people who could possibly go somewhere else. I also think that Cody ends up on Raw after all of this. I think there's also a good chance that Jey Uso is one of those guys that maybe ends up over on SmackDown after all this. I think he might end up back on SmackDown just because it kind of makes sense with what they're doing right now.
I actually think that Cody ends up staying on SmackDown and Jimmy goes to Raw, but we'll see how that
Do you
goes.
really?
Yeah. And
So,
we could talk a little bit about some of those predictions a little bit later on what we think is going to happen.
So the Street Profits also won a number one contender match for the the WWE tag team titles. Showtime, I know you said you like these belts infinitely better than the Raw
These
versions.
belts are amazing. They are
I love these
exactly
belts.
what I want to see in a title belt. And it's funny because they are pretty similar, except for they're not dumb and round. And so like that really gets me. Like
Why?
it just doesn't look good
I
being
feel like
like a
you're
perfect
also talking
circle.
about most of our friends at this point when you say dumb and round.
Yeah. So and I don't like them either. And
That's
so
fair.
like at the end of the day, like I like it has those contours to it. It looks like a real prestigious belt. These belts are exactly what I like. I always pop for Griffins, so I dig that. And actually, if you watched Raw, I think it was Raw, they had some like really cool graphics with the Griffins kind of over the tag team title match, which I thought was really cool. Like, it kind of threw me back a little bit.
I really like these titles. They look like the old school WWE tag team titles from the 80s. There's a nice throwback to that look, or like the belts from the early 2000s when Raw and SmackDown first kind of split up, where one was the World Tag Team titles, and those were the ones with the actual lineage to the WWE Tag Team titles, and then they made the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and they all kind of looked the same. They have that, like you said, that I don't know if it's a rectangular type plate, but it's that front plate looks really cool, and this looks like those old titles that I do like. And like you said, you are not big on round title belts. Well, we got cooler belts. They look classic. You've got the Street Profits challenging A Town Down Under. No, A Town Down Under are playing great swarmy heels with all of this. I thought their interaction with Triple H was even pretty cool, and I like that Nick Aldis. I still feel like Aldis in this whole thing is the one guy, the one member of management that at the end of the day he's doing the right thing, but he's doing the right thing because, well, it's my job. I don't I he would be doing he's doing what's best by him, not necessarily, and the company, not necessarily what's best by the people. And he's the one guy that I think can pull this off, where Adam Pearce is kind of, there's times where Adam Pearce almost feels like the lovable idiot.
The I think that the Street Profits might win this belt from these belts from A10 and under. I'm starting to think that Austin Theory's days bringing his him. So
I
we'll
think
kind of
so
see
too.
where this at. I just don't think he ever rose to the occasion that they tried to set him up for, and we'll kind of see where that goes next. I could be completely wrong if they keep these tag team titles for a little bit. And they keep this heel. I like the idea of the two of them and Logan Paul being a little kind of semi-faction, and with all three of them wearing gold, it could be really cool. Give me a couple trio type matches with these three and three other people, fill in the blank, and have some cool matches with the tag team and U.S. champion. I like all of that. I like the way it's going, but I don't know. These guys, if anyone feels like a transition champion, it's these guys.
And for some reason, and it's funny that you said like you don't think that Austin Theory is long for the WWE. At the same time, I don't understand why, but it does feel like Grayson Waller is, they're getting ready to push him to the moon for some reason.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, it's weird because he doesn't super impress me. Like neither one of these guys super impress me right now. And I'm not saying it like, Austin Theory impressed me a lot last year, and even the couple years leading into this. Grayson Waller just doesn't do it for me. And I'm not, maybe I'm the one who's just not seeing it. Maybe I'm the one missing it. But everything from his speaking style right up to, and I know this is me nitpicking, we've said it before, but right up to his gear. Like everything about what he does just doesn't seem big time. It seems 10th grade. It seems high school. It seems, and not even varsity. It seems JV. And I don't know. Like, it seems like they put more stock into Grayson Waller than they would into Austin Theory, which it almost seems like that's the backwards of what it should be if they were going to choose one over the other. But maybe they're paying Austin Theory more money. That these are all things that we don't know the actual answers to. From there, We have Solo, Sikoa, and Tama Tonga beating the living hell out of Kevin Owens.
Did they,
This
though?
sets up so much. Well, they beat him up beforehand, and then
I was a little disappointed in this because it was a lot of bait and switching. This was not done well. So Tama Tonga throws Kevin Owens out. He's bleeding everywhere. You're setting him up as that monster, right? I'm in at this point. Great. I understand what you're doing. You're gonna crush Kevin Owens, someone everyone kind of loves, someone who has name
will fight.
Exactly. But then he does fight, and he fires up, and he kind of takes Tonga down. And they really don't get that heat back. And then after everything happens, he gets spiked. Then he comes back and gets him. And then you find out later in the show that he hit his car. So did he actually beat Kevin Owens up, or did he just crash into him?
And then,
nice little callback to Rikishi and all. And then have him then drag him to the ring and then get fired up on. And it just killed all the heat for Tama Tonga for me. Maybe I'm like overanalyzing this like I do, which I get that, but to me, the right way to do this is you completely annihilate Kevin Owens in the back. You throw him out there. He's dead in the middle of the ring, and you guys just shoot on him. And he has to sit there and take it. And maybe he gets a couple like weak swings at you because he's still that fighting guy, but he doesn't actually connect on any of them, or they do connect and they just glance off of him. Like, that's how you build a monster. They tried to build a monster and then showed that he wasn't very much monster.
I think they're gonna. I think Tama Tonga is kind of not gonna be the monster at this point. I think he's going. I think it's gonna be Jacob Fatu. I think Tama Tonga is gonna be the Tully. If we're looking at the type of guy, I think Tama Tonga is gonna be vicious. I think he's gonna also kind of be the cool, like, hey, I'm the vicious guy that doesn't mind shooting you right in the face, but also I might not always be the toughest guy in the room. Like, he might be the most sadistic guy in the room, but he's not necessarily, like, I think Jacob Fatu is going to be the enforcer guy. He's going to take over the role that Solo had. And I've heard this, and I agree with this. Jacob Fatu has such a different look compared to all of them. Like, he's the dirty Samoan savage guy. He's the Samoan werewolf, and he looks it. He is that guy. He's the guy that goes out there, and yeah, I believe that Tama Tonga could beat up most people, and yeah, I believe Solo can beat up most people. Jacob Fatu, I believe, not only that he can beat up everybody, but also that most people aren't going to start the fight with him because they're going to look at him and walk on the other side of the street, and that includes the bravest baby faces. Now then, this, again, the next thing I have written down here is, what does this mean for the bloodline, and what does this hold for Roman? I think these are the same exact storyline in the long run. This is where I was going to come in with some of my fantasy booking. So a lot of what this is going into is, it looks like it's a bloodline civil war, right? Like, that's where we're kind of going.
That's what they say.
That's what it looks like. I'm gonna shoot this down in a little bit, but I'm gonna see if you have any theories on what they're doing with this in general. Just because it looks like this is gonna end up being Solo and Tama and Fatu and possibly The Rock, kind of ganging up on Roman, right? Like, that's what it seems like, or Roman's bloodline. So
that's why I think Jimmy goes to Raw when all these guys are on SmackDown, because then when Roman comes back to SmackDown, all of his Usos aren't there, and he's alone with this new bloodline.
So I don't disagree with what you're saying, and again, mine is, I'm shooting it so far out of left field on this one. that I don't think that they're going to do it. And if they do it, Uncle Paul, Mr. H, if you will, I think you owe me a check on this one. But if they do it this way, and I could see it working, and I could see it getting a huge pop, and them making a ton of money off of it. When Roman comes back, how many people has Roman just completely decimated and screwed over at this point? Everybody. Even when he comes back, who is he going to have there to trust? Who will have his back? Is main event Jey Uso going to have his back? No, he tossed him out of the bloodline. He screwed him. Jimmy, even if Jimmy kind of has his back, the fact of the matter is he got decimated on Roman's watch, basically. He just wasn't there. He's like, no, I don't want to be there. You can be over there now. And if they're going to do something where we are reuniting the Usos, I could see the Usos just turning their back on Roman completely and be like, no, you're family, but we don't trust you. So who do you get? Who do you get?
Sammy. Is it Sammy?
It's not Sammy.
I can see it being Sammy.
I don't think that. I think a great out of left field thing for this. And again, I don't believe this is happening, but this is me having fun with a little bit of fantasy booking. You need someone that can watch his back. You need people that are going to stand with him, and you need people that are going to help him sell merchandise at the end of the day. Well, what if this IWGP title reign is a swan song in AEW for Moxley? And after all of this, the only people that Roman can turn to go after the Rock's bloodline, and you hear Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, and the Shield music hits. One, I don't think this is happening. I'm going to keep saying I don't think this will ever happen. Also, will Moxley turn down millions of dollars to come back for probably what will be the end of his career? Probably not. This is the only reason why I think it could happen. And lastly, I think that they would make so much money off of merchandising and the Shield getting back together, and it would be a great final swing for them to do this. It has legs to it, but I don't think it has strong legs, and I think I'm just fantasy booking at this point.
Yeah, I think the idea and having Rollins, who's desperate to make up for his past transgressions, I think that's what I was so wrong about the build to Mania when I was like, he's going to double cross Cody. I was blind to the fact that everyone saying that kind of was a dig at him, being like, he's not trustworthy. He's going to turn on you. He turned on Roman. And like the ability to have his redemption with Roman after double crossing him could be kind of a cool storyline. You're right. It would sell a ton of merch. Just so much merch.
How much Shield merch? All the t-shirts. Like WrestleMania would sell out of shirts.
Yeah.
80,000 Shield shirts would sell out that day. And I think it would be cool. I think it would be awesome. I also don't think it's going to happen. As much as the words are coming out of my mouth and I'm the one who's pitching the idea, I still don't think it's a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah. That's because Triple H doesn't actually listen to the show. Sorry, guys.
But So, all right. So Bruce Pritchard, can you please throw the idea towards him? Going from Roman in the bloodline, let's move on to Raw a little bit. We get Imperium descent happening on the show. Again, I said Tiffany Stratton's boyfriend turned on his tag team partner. She is dating Kaiser, and he turned on the third member of Imperium, and it looks like that was what Gunther wanted anyway. I do think that this is maybe the start of Gunther going towards the world title finally, but we'll see kind of where all this goes. Again, the SmackDown and Raw, both of them were a little bit of a lull I know we keep saying WrestleMania hangover. I'm going to say it's a WrestleMania lull. I think that's the nicer way of saying it. I think we're coming off of a couple of really, really hot months, and this stuff that's setting up things that probably aren't going to pay off until after the draft and things. They seem slow, and they seem less appeasing to us than what we've been watching, because, well, they are less appeasing. You had to build Mania, and you had to build what they were calling the biggest Mania of all time, and they did a great job. And now we have to get back to business as usual. And unfortunately, business as usual has a little bit of a low point.
I think that Vinci might actually get drafted to NXT.
I could see that. He came from NXT at one point.
Yeah, see him going down, because there's got to be a couple people that go down, because they're treating it like a third brand. So they're going to need to get some people from the main two brands. I've also heard the Final Judgment. Is that Cross's
the Final Testament? Karrion Kross's group. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've already made entrances in there, so I can see them. Yeah, they came down last week, I think, and AOP beat the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, because they'll go down there and they'll have a good showing, because they're not doing it up here. The one thing that I think might actually happen is, because I think it's pretty foregone conclusion that Ilya Dragunov is going to come up. I wouldn't be surprised if he replaces Vinci in this group. He's Eastern European, so it fits that check. Doesn't matter what Eastern European mix you have. You have an accent and you're blonde, throw him in there. So I think that might be where they put him, because I can see them actually going on a decent tag run there while Gunther is going on his hunting trip, or however he posed it. So I think that would be interesting on kind of where it goes. So that's just one of those little throw out there. I could see it happening.
That would be cool. I also think Dragunov has been such a feud for Gunther in the past that I could see them bring him in this way. He doesn't have to deal with Imperium. He just kind of has to deal with Gunther. And they could put on a couple banger matches for us. But who knows what's going to happen with that one. Again, we're still a couple days away from the draft. There's a lot of things they could do that could throw monkey wrenches into everything that we're saying right now, or everything that we have said in the last couple of weeks since Mania.
Like having to strip your champion of their title unnecessarily when other people don't defend their world titles for more than 3 months?
We're not there yet.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, we're getting there. He's so mad right now. He's so mad about this.
So dumb.
So we have Chad Gable going full heel and just bashing his entire crew. I've heard that this is probably leading into him getting pretty much a whole new heel stable. I've heard the Creed brothers, which
I'm all in for it. This is gonna be awesome.
I think that'd be cool if we could get 3 really, really rough and tough amateur wrestlers together that just go through and start beating up people. Not just be athletic, but Steiner Brothers style beat up other people. That's what I want.
I don't see how Alpha Academy can stay with Chad Gable. They're so likable. And turning them heel doesn't make any sense. So I think they're going to eventually abandon him, and that's when the Creeds will come in.
Or he's going to actually abandon them. Like either way. They're going to keep following him, and all of a sudden he's going to be like, you know what, you guys are just, I think you guys are the problem with me. Like, I'm not the problem. I'm not losing these matches. You guys are the reason why I'm losing these matches. And I'm cutting the dead weight and have the Creed brothers come out. Have the Creed brothers and have them join back up with Ivy Nile again. And have the 3 of them beat the holy crap out of everybody. I think that would work. I think this version of Chad Gable is actually the best version of Chad Gable we've seen in a while, though.
I was a little disappointed on the segment. Like he didn't come off vicious enough. I want to see like maybe they're doing a little bit of a slow build, but I thought the promo was a little flat.
I think he's not used to giving a serious promo though either. So
Sure.
again, this is still even when he was a heel originally, he kind of had a cheesier heel promo. And I'm talking originally, like when he was American Alpha Chad Gable. That was when he was Ready, Willing, and Gable. And it was still a cheesy promo, but like it was great back then. Another great. Actually, I thought this was a good segment.
Before you go on that segment, we didn't really talk about Damian Priest and Jey Uso at the beginning of the show. They were trying to build for their title shot. It looks like Damian Priest might be going face. We'll see kind of how that goes. It got some mixed messages throughout the night because he still goes heelish on him, but I think that their grand scheme is to turn Priest face in the long term. It was a fine segment. It was Priest gets kicked in the face, super kick, surprise, and just wanted to call that out because I thought it was worth mentioning. But there's not much to really discuss on it.
I don't know if they're going to turn Priest face or maybe they might finally turn Finn back face. Because I don't think they're going to
suspiciously missing.
Because there's no way that you turn Dom or JD face. Like they just don't work as baby faces. They both have faces that I want to punch.
I can't wait till Dom does work as a baby face. Like I can't wait for him to go that route. Because like think about the nuclear good heat he'll have when everyone wants to cheer for him. Like every time he goes to talk, everyone cheers over him, so he can't talk. And he's like, guys, come on, I just have a couple things to say.
I think it's going to involve him wearing a mask, though. I think he's going to have to win. I think he's going to have to win the mask from his father, and he's going to have to win it cleanly. And I think that'll be Ray's go home. I've been saying that for years, that Ray's going to go home. And when he does, it's going to be like Dom's going to win his mask. And I think that could be his baby face. I think
they're going to have a hair versus mask match anyway. I can see that being it. And then he starts wearing the mask. Would be
cool. Other than that, we have a Sheamus and Drew segment. I like this segment. I like a lot of things that Drew McIntyre is doing. I think Drew McIntyre is gold right now.
Yep.
I think, again, he did the one thing that I keep wondering why people haven't been doing it for years. And during the what chance, say what if you French kiss your cousin? What?
Yeah.
You're all gross.
There's a few people
you're disgusting.
Yeah. A few people have done that before. He completely shoots on Sheamus, though.
He does.
And Sheamus is right. He is being a whiny baby.
It's kind of the nice thing about them actually being friends.
Yeah.
They're able to say those things and do those things to each other, and they can probably still be friends afterwards.
Yeah, in the Shinsuke Sheamus match, I thought Drew was going to double cross him. And I was really like holding my breath. I'm like, don't do it. I don't want to see this. I want to see you guys on the same side right now. Like I dig that promo, and like you guys might have said some harsh things to each other, but at the same time, I think he did it the right way. So I'm glad that he didn't do that. But I want to know who Shinsuke pissed off to get like all of a sudden he's the jobber. He got jobbed out here, jobbed out to Ilya. He's just on like a crazy losing streak right now, and I don't understand why. I'm not saying he needs to be the most over person, but like can we throw him a bone here?
I mean, yeah, like stop giving him. Just stop being the guy. Like he needs to stop being the guy that they use to build up the incoming or the returning talent. Like let him have somebody that he just let him beat up JD or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that actually I have a problem with that too because Dom and JD are just jobbers right now too. It doesn't make any damn sense. Like, can I get a match where they win? That's not a 3-minute match.
Give him a feud with somebody that I could get behind. Like I wouldn't mind seeing him and Andrade going at it for a few months. Except for the fact that they've built Shinsuke into such this this, like you said, almost like a jobber guy. Like, he's enhancement talent right now.
Yeah, he's another one that I wouldn't be surprised if they sent him down to NXT.
I could see that, especially since he's got the history there.
Yeah, and to bring down a star to go down there and really shake it up with someone who's a little bit older with all the younger talent.
I could absolutely see that. Moving on from Sheamus and Drew, we have a new women's champion. Now you can rant.
Boo. You deleted my math to kind of put some real stats behind this. Thanks for that, but there's been plenty of times where Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, other champions haven't defended their title. I think Braun Strowman had a nice little stretch, like for 2 to 3 months. I don't see why Rhea had to vacate the title. So I'll just keep it there. But even on top of that, Becky winning this title, that fell flat for me. I get why they did it. Everyone else that I listen to or talk to seems like they love the decision. So I feel like I'm a man on an island right now. Doing a battle royal for this title allows you to put someone in the title that you didn't expect. Right? Like, give it to Piper. There's a few other people in that match. Her name has escaped me. I had it earlier. The one that beat Trish not so long ago. There's a few of these female stars that you could have put the title on and then have Liv or Nia or Becky take it off of them. And I would have been you would have been better for it than just giving it to Becky now, because now she's a transition champion. Everyone knows she was trying to take time off. Now Rhea gets hurt, so let's bring in Becky so she can hold the title, and we'll have her feud
until probably Liv wins it or something like that.
Yeah, and like the last 3 people in that match were the 3 people I would have guessed. Like, you didn't need the rest of those people. Just make it a 3-way for those 3. The 3 top contenders, because everybody else in that match was kind of all tag teams, people putting together matches that really. I don't know, that weren't quite world title caliber, but if you had them going up against one of these 3, they could have done something cool with it. There were 2 or 3 people that you could have put that belt on, and it would have been like, oh wow, I'm very surprised that they put the title on her, and now she's gonna go lose it at the next pay-per-view for PLA here.
Yeah, like I get Becky. I do. I get it.
It's not a bad choice. There's just more original choices. It's our 7th time as champion.
One of the things that I've got going coming out of Raw after I watched it, and it's funny because it looked like there was an animosity point with Liv and Dom. I wouldn't be surprised if part of the whole Liv is taking everything from Rhea if she ends up with Dom.
I've heard that too. I hate it, but yeah.
I hate it, but I think that's it's a thing that they're doing. I think, like I said, I think all around we're in this post WrestleMania lull until we get to the draft, and I think everything right now is going to be
which starts
subpar.
Starts Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be subpar until we get through the next week or so. And then, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if right after Backlash, everything just ramps up again. Because you're going to have to build up King and Queen of the Ring. You're going to have to build up SummerSlam. You're going to have to build up Clash at the Castle in Scotland. You have to build up the German show. I'm sorry, I always forget the name of it, and I should be better about that one.
Is it Battle in Berlin?
Is it Battle in Berlin? And you're going to have to build up, you're going to be building up all this stuff and Survivor Series, and you're going to have to start building up someone to be a viable option to win the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of things that are kind of going to have to happen real soon. So unless we're going to have Cody lose the title and he wins the Royal Rumble for a 3rd time, and being the second person ever to do that, I like there's got to be new stars that are being developed, or like new superstars. If you're already on the cusp, I think H is gonna be building up new people. It's got to happen.
Braun Breaker.
I think it's going to be Braun Breaker. I don't know if Braun Breaker is ready for Mania next year, though.
No, you're right. Not in the main event spot.
I think 2 years
on Mania.
I think he should be on Mania. I could see him being on Mania for like the US title or the IC title,
against
something
Logan
like that,
Paul.
or if they put the Andre the Giant Battle Royal back on Mania, I could see him just tearing ass through that.
I hope they don't do that.
It's unnecessary. I don't want that one to happen either, but I could see that being there. Like, well, we don't want to put a secondary title on you, so we're going to do this until we have you win Money in the Bank or the Rumble. I actually would rather have him win the Rumble than win Money in the Bank, because I want him to have the clear title shot, not a cash in.
Yeah, he doesn't need a cash in.
He's that guy that needs that win. There. He needs to decimate everybody.
I don't think he's gonna, but I can see him win King of the Ring.
I can see him winning King of the Ring. I could see him winning something like that too. Well, that's kind of all we got for current wrestling, and since we do not have Scarps here today, there are no Esquire's inquiries. But what we do have is
mail, motherfucker.
Yeah, we have a mailbag question. This one comes from a friend of ours, Greg, in New Jersey. We both worked with him. His question is, when Solo Sikoa attacked John Cena months ago, Paul Heyman said, "Who authorized this?" Do you think that The Rock authorized it? And do you think The Rock has lit the fire under Solo's ass to take over the bloodline? I think this is a really good question, actually. And I think I never thought that it was that far back, but with everything that they're doing and all the long-term storytelling that they're doing, yeah. If not to take over, you're not just my enforcer, you're my actual right hand. I could see The Rock doing that one where, hey, I'm the final boss, but like you're my tribal chief.
I could see that coming down. I do think that The Rock is the tribal chief that has authorized this. Like, the way they're trying to pose it right now is that Solo, when he's like the tribal chief, has approved this, insinuating that he's the tribal chief. I think it's actually The Rock pulling the strings and telling Solo that he's going to take him to crazy heights and he'll be world champion, because The Rock doesn't need to prove that kind of stuff, but he's in charge. So, but yeah, I could buy that. I could easily buy that. Like, just another rib in the side of John Cena, take him down, and then go from there. Like, it's cool. I hope it comes to fruition. I could see that also being an initial thought, or like a reverse engineer that later, where it wasn't actually in the plans, but now it is.
And then they do it. Yeah, I could see that one as well. I think they would do. I think, because I had said this originally, having it be that the Rock orchestrated a lot of this, even just giving him Solo, I think that could be a nice little nod. Where I had said originally that if you do something where you say, well, the elders sent you Solo, well, who do you think the elders are? It's me. I'm the final boss. I'm the next actual person in line. Like, yeah, you're the tribal chief, but do you really think that you're sitting at the head of the table? I'm at the head of the table. You're sitting at the head of your table. I'm over at the grown-ups table. So I could see something like that. Like I said, I think this is a really good take on this one. That's why I definitely wanted this question out there. This was a cool question. Greg, thank you again. Everyone, thank you for sending in any questions that you do. As always, all of our social media applications will be in our description below. We have Facebook pages, we have Instagrams, we have our emails on there. If you have any questions that you want us to tackle on the show, please send it in. We are happy to talk. We spend this time talking wrestling anyway. Answering questions about wrestling just seems like the natural progression for us. And also, if y'all are listening to the show, thank you. I always like to give that gratitude out for listening to the show. If you are listening to the show and you have not done it already, hit that follow or that like button, the subscription button, whatever it is.
Subscribe.
It is the easiest way to help us build this show up. And it's something that I'm speaking for the rest of the hosts on this one. We enjoy doing. So we want to keep doing it and just keep getting out to as many people as possible. But other than that, Showtime, I'll throw it to you for the good night because I got nothing left to say.
Thank you all. We love you.
Have a good one, guys.